Spanker. She's telling me that. She barely has
Okay. So anyway, you guys, I don't think we wasted our time. I think we just discovered that that's not going to work for us. So we're back to recording on with using YouTube. Okay. What did we do last time?
We talked about where we're from.
Talked about where we're from, and we didn't talk about the documents yet, right?
No.
Okay, but you did write in your learning log about those documents. Is that right?
What documents?
You know, they were like copy and pasted on the side.
Copy of that.
Okay, remember that? What I would like to do is just sort of see a couple of your learning logs. And Brett, no, you're going to start?
Yeah.
Why don't you come on up and plug in and kind of show us what you're doing? And I don't know.
No, can't plug in.
Why is that?
Because
Brett
doesn't have a connector. Brett can.
I thought this.
We were going to try to come up with that monitor issue.
I didn't know at the time. I actually just had to leave like right after. But I'm glad I have it set up. So.
Oh yeah. Check this out. I got this nice little email from Mr. Lakadas yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. And he wrote in an email, he sent this to me, ways to use Google Docs in the classroom, and I guess people are innovating and creating and figuring out things to do.
Well, they're sharing how to do it too.
And I have not read this, so I'm going to have to. But what he suggested is maybe our learning logs are a relatively new or innovative way to use Google Docs in the classroom. So I'm going to read through, think a little bit, and if this is a group that we can contribute to, we will.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing. So these are new in schools and people are just coming up with new ideas and create the same tool that they're using for the classes also allows all these classes around the world to share their ideas. So.
Yeah. And we talked about that, right? Trying to get what we do in here beyond the walls of our classroom.
And I could wear it here, so outside.
It's just part of it. So we always say
Can you?
Oh, you can delete that? Because I actually want to show it to the class.
Oh.
Well,
you know. And
why did you do that?
go out with a bang. Who do you think it is?
Oh,
But actually, just don't delete that.
Okay, I won't.
Wait, come on now.
You'll find out.
Oh, God.
You want to do it after the what?
Nothing.
Okay. So do what you need to do. Show us what you're doing.
Which one is it?
Okay.
The HDMI one.
And what I need the rest of us to be doing is thinking about a grade.
Please.
What makes a good learning log? I think we all
Turn it around.
know, but my guess is it can take lots of different forms.
That's lightning. Not this one either. This one.
Yeah.
It's on the other side.
Are you sure?
No.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's not much.
Oh.
Well, is that a different size connector?
Wait. Let me just see. This isn't light. Yeah.
You plug in this one, right?
You see, it's a little. It has a little screen on it. You don't have a little screen.
So we can't do it?
What we can do though is we could just log into my account or
like
share it with users.
Yeah, I'll share it with.
Or yeah, we'll share it.
Oh, wait, I already have it.
That's
Where's
even
the
better.
connector?
Yeah.
Oh, it's already shared.
That's
with them.
even better,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, so just go to your chat documents. No.
Okay. I can do that.
No, look.
Look, it's the little screen. Yeah, and
Okay.
Apple makes different models.
Well, not everyone can have
Yeah, so just go to Drive and then share it with me. Probably.
Wait, I'm sure you put in.
What is it titled, you guys?
Brett Noah Learning AH. Alright. Welcome to the Brett and Noah Learning Log experience. We're going to take you through our learning log and enjoy the rest. Class 1. We did introductions and how introductions are relevant to history and how this class is relevant to history. And it's a little bright here, but we took a picture of the board.
You can turn the light off. So
Oh,
I like the work you did.
So we took a picture of the board and then we kind of just made a little graphic here and it's pointing to the introductions.
You want me to scroll for you?
Yeah, and we all know what's
Just to see how I made the little tiny graphic. Go ahead. You guys keep going. I'll tell you what I think.
Alright, what did you learn?
This is just what we wrote down the first day on paper.
And we sort of like added and edited to our things. And I mean, do you want us to read it or? It's kind of long.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah,
I'm more
you
interested in
just-
what you captured.
Yeah, just take it in.
Okay.
Then in class 2 we did Where Are You From? Noah, Chicago, Illinois. He moved here when he was 1. And then I've always been in Dayton, Ohio. And my lake house is in Kentucky. I put that down there because in grade school I was there 1 or 2 times a week, every week. And then I just felt like I should add something else. So my dream state is California.
And if you scroll down, you'll see them.
That's
California
dream
people.
state.
You can see all the major interstates.
Okay.
Alright. Then we just did a huge essay of our first, mini essay, but our first handout, and that was the Christopher Columbus one. And sort of this is like the summary, like Brett and I combined our stuff to make a summary, and then we sort of like brainstormed and went into a longer analysis, bold writing.
Okay.
Ideas.
And you wrote this together?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
No,
honestly,
I mainly did the analysis. I mainly did the
Yeah.
summary.
I'm kind of thinking it would be helpful. I like that you're working together and collaborating. I don't know how to. I kind of want to know who did what.
Right.
Revision history.
Revision history? Okay. Okay.
Everybody can.
Okay, we'll look at that in a second. Okay, so keep going.
Under 5.
Oh. Yeah, you can keep going. Just some of the main ideas.
Okay.
That's Anne Weldon and her lovely husband.
And that.
Okay,
keep going.
that we just want to finish with the bang.
That's your bang. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
thank you, everyone.
Okay. So that's it?
No, and then that's where we're from. Like, address-wise.
So you took some notes on where people are from?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
Thanks.
not me.
That was totally you, Brett. That was kind of your idea, too.
All right.
It wasn't at all.
Okay.
I took the heavy
This
lifting.
is the second time.
Okay, will somebody turn the lights on? All right, let me hear some comments from you guys about this particular learning log. What do you think? And what I want you to sort of thinking in your head is A, B, C, D, U. And I'm thinking in terms of excellent, good, average. Meaning average in the sense of no particular. I often think of average, like if I read your essay, I look at your learning log, if it looks a lot like you could have done it without having picked up what our class is about, the work in our class, what we're doing, why we're doing it. If you didn't really pick up on that and demonstrate it in your essay, in your learning log, in your whatever, then I think that's kind of typical and average. I could get that from somebody on the street who wasn't even sitting in the class. That's average to me. So if you're going to get an A or a B in here, you need to demonstrate what we're doing and why we're doing it. Sort of the spirit of the class. Does that make some sense? Okay. I have read plenty of essays by people that I believe they could have written without having read the book. Okay, I've read reflections that could have been written without having attended class. Does that make some sense? In a way, that's a little bit insulting. Okay, and I think it's kind of I see it. At that. You? What do you think about that?
Well, if you're writing a reflection on something that didn't happen in the class, that's not actually work for the class. Does that make sense? You just get like a no grade.
Yeah.
Like I'm in that class and somebody asked me to reflect and I talked about how I went to the zoo yesterday.
Exactly.
And I counted the animals, so I used some math. But it wasn't really for the class. Why should I get credit in the class for it? Does that make sense?
Or I ask you to address a question about the Civil War or first contact or something like that, and you tell me the story of what you learned in 8th grade.
Nice to know.
Nice to know, but irrelevant. Does that make sense? Okay. So, an A is excellent by all standards. B is good work. You know, I can see reflections of our class. I can see you work with it. C, I think I just explained. D is, it's kind of not worth my time. You did something, but it's kind of not worth my time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on a D. And a U is like, why are you here? Right? Not in a mean way, but why? So with that in mind a little bit, and your own responses to this, what do you think of their learning log? Let's just say class 1. What do you think? What do people think? Is it okay to talk about?
Yeah.
We're going to be safe. We're going to get better. It's okay.
Yeah.
So don't. What do you think? Anybody have any thoughts about just day 1? What they did with day 1?
I think they did a good job of writing down stuff that wasn't just like the words that you said, but they thought about like why we talked about that and like why that's important. I think that they did a good job of like recording that, and I don't know, I thought it was like day 1 was organized nicely. You could see like who did what, even though it's shared.
What do you mean organized nicely?
I don't. I mean how they have like their names by like who did what. I mean graphically, nicely.
Does that matter?
Yeah.
Does the presentation matter? Do the aesthetics of it matter?
To an extent.
It matters to me. It matters a good bit, actually. You know, you can see that it's class 1. You know the date. There's some notes here that I can make sense of. I like that while I think this is probably clear what it is from what's up here, this really helps the viewer see what it is. I think the picture's nice. I like the bold here. I think it helps a viewer know what this is, and then you can see who it is. And I just think the little table with the 2 boxes is kind of a nice presentation. I like it, and it does show a little bit of effort, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honest, for day 1, really? I mean, for me, that's kind of an A. Day 1 looks like an A for me. Okay, let's go on to day 2. What do you think? Here's day 2. What do you think? What do you think? Some thoughts? Anybody? You want me to do it? What do you think of this one? What do you think?
I mean, everyone in the class did where we're from. Instead of just saying Dayton, Ohio, we just kind of added a little bit more. And then Noah did the pictures. He gave like a visual representation of Chicago. And California, just having the state. But I like the way that with the California one. It shows like, because I've never been to Chicago, I don't know, so it gives it a good visual.
do you guys see? Okay, think about this. Your parents are paying $18,000 a year for you to come to this school. And we spent 75 minutes this day on day one. And they look at this as a record of what we did those 2 classes. We're talking about at least about $40, $30 to $40. Do you see was this experience worth $30 to $40? I think it was. I think they probably look at it and say that we value who these people are as individuals. I would love, I think maybe this is an A minus, to tell you the truth, because it's pretty good, but I don't see any indication of why we did it. Do you? Did I kind of say that you matter and what you bring to the history really matters? It's not on here. Does that make some sense?
Well, do you mean like the context? Like, because I feel like in our paragraphs we sort of like talk about the ideas we got and why we kind of, like, I think we go into
You
some...
think it's in here?
Yeah.
Okay, then it should be. If it is, then you're good to go, and I'll take it. I will look at that. All right.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would like you guys to do in these learning logs, kind of take note of this if you can, is you know, these are notes that I can look at pretty quick. Introductions, how introduction is relevant to history, how this class is relevant to history, blah blah blah. If you get to a part in your learning log that you think is pretty creative, pretty innovative, a little bit different, that you want looked at, is there a way for you to highlight it?
Yeah.
How?
Well, there's a little, it's A with an underline at the top, like, you know, where the bold and the italics and the underline are, and where the font is, a little toolbar at the top. To the right of the bold, italics, and underline, there's this thing called, like, it's just a letter A, and with, like, a black underline. And then once you click on that, it's text and then highlight are the 2 options, and there's a bunch of different colors you can highlight and text with. So, for example, if I wanted to highlight, like, Dayton, Ohio, in on page 2.
On day 2?
Yeah, day 2.
You can do that?
So I would, yeah, so basically I just, like, highlight it with my thing, and, or like,
Okay.
yeah, so I'll highlight it yellow.
Okay, so that means I'd really like you to look closely at this. I'm proud of this. I created this. I want you to look closely at it. That's sort of a message to me and anybody else. Is that okay? Does that make sense? Unless it screws up like the aesthetic of your picture or something, then you could put a little note in there and highlight the note. You know, just you could write a comment and say, this picture may not look that important, like it's that important, but, and then explain why you chose it, what it shows, like a caption in our textbook. Does that make sense? It's a way for you to bring my attention to where you want it. What do you think?
I was gonna say, you can actually like insert comment boxes that you look, if you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, I think. Oh, they can do it.
Yeah, I can do it
everybody
too.
can.
So then, like, when you come up, it will be on the side, and I can say, hey, look at this, and it highlights the word that I left the comment. And then you just scroll through that.
Perfect. Okay, so use those comments, use highlighting, whatever you can to bring attention to where you want it. And I think that's probably a 21st century skill. There's so much information out there now, so much content creation, that you making it easy for your viewer is going to really be an important skill.
It's termed media literacy. It's like it used to be enough for schools to teach you how to write well, which is still important that you can get taught how to write well, I think. But you also need to be able to, writing well doesn't mean words on a page anymore. It means bolds and pictures and highlights and centering and formatting and all the tools that are at your disposal you need to use.
Does that make sense? You're not going to be able to go into a job, probably well before a job, certainly your work in college, and just present it in a haphazard, clunky kind of way. Not even a Google Doc.
You're able to if you don't actually want the job.
And here's the other thing. I don't have a real rigid rubric right now because I want to see what you do. The main reason why we're presenting these, honestly, is not so much to grade them. It's to see what we can create and what works. And then we'll create a rubric from our successes. Does that make sense? That's why we're taking this time in class to look at it and say, okay, day one's pretty good. I think day two is a little thin, but you know, I like that they put in the maps, I like that they answered the question, but I don't see a lot of, oh, they get why we were doing it.
Plus it just kind of messed it up.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not seeing, if I'm a parent and I'm thinking, okay, there's, you know, those 2 classes cost me $40, I'm not looking at this entry and thinking, I'm kind of going, why? Why?
It's a good lens to look at.
You know, what does this mean? So I need you to create a learning log that really represents what we did, why we did it, how we did it, and what you got out of it. Because your parents are going to look at this and think I wasted 85 minutes of their money. Right? And what I'm thinking is, this is our first go with evaluation of these things. I think I would like to not. I'd like to just talk about the grade on this one, and then this weekend I was going to put them in a file and grade them. I think I'm not going to do that. We'll still put them in a file. But I'm going to ask you to this weekend really polish them up so that they do reflect what we did, how we did it, and why we did it. Okay? I want you to sell what we do in our class. And if you can't sell it, it means you haven't gotten the value out of it, which means I've either got to do a better job, or you do, or both of us, or something. But it's really important that you know why we're doing what we're doing, the value of how we're doing it, and the value of what we're doing. Super, I think that's probably a 20% of this skill too. Your ability to represent the value of an experience. And I have been holding off on this, but I'll make a bigger deal of this in a little while, but learning. Brain scientists, cognitive scientists define learning. This is from the work of a guy at Yale, who's a psychology professor there, highly recognized. He studies wisdom, creativity, innovation, and synthesis. It's crazy. I didn't think you could study that stuff. But he has an introductory psych book, and in that book he defines learning as any relatively permanent change in the thoughts, words, or action of an organism based on experience. It's different than maturation. You will mature and that will change you. But learning is about experiences that change you. So what I'm trying to do in this class every single day is to create an experience that gives you an opportunity to learn. And that means thinking differently, speaking differently, and doing different things. Okay? You need to capture that in these learning logs. I don't see anything here. I don't see evidence of a change. That Brett and Noah got something out of this exercise. I don't see it. Here I kind of see it. They got to know their classmates, but I would like to see more of why did we do this? We did it because when you read those documents, and if you come in with an average analytical mind, you're going to conclude that Columbus is a greedy bastard because he was mean to the Indians. I can go out on the sidewalk and have people read those documents and they'll tell me that. But in here we have to bring more to it than that, pick up on who he's writing to, and realize Columbus isn't greedy at all. He's desperate. He's in desperate need of cataloging things of value in the New World so that the King and Queen of Spain will fund his next trip. So there's gold in the rivers and in the mountains, and these people, oh my God, they'd make great servants, and we can subjugate them all with 50 guys. Do you get that? Okay? So that's the point. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily think, no, and I want you to get this too, I don't necessarily think, I don't think you need to get this necessarily in class 1, what I just said. But if we do this in class 1, and then we talk about those documents in class 2 or 3, and you have that experience of declaring on paper, that Columbus, oh God, they're mean and they're greedy and they're all this stuff. And then after we talk about it, you realize, whoa, there's way more to that picture than that. And then maybe I make a reference to, now do you see why you are so important? You know, what you bring to it? So you connect what we did in class 1 with what we did in class 2 or 3. In the notes, in the learning for that class 3 or 4, whatever it is, you write that up. Whoa, now I see why we did the thing that we did on day 1. We didn't do it just to get to know each other. No way. I'm honest, I wouldn't have taken the time for that. Not that that's not important, but I would have done it. But you all bring unique sensibilities to the history that we're going to be reading, and that's what's going to bring it to life. And the consequences for, like, Columbus, if you judge him as greedy, that is very different assessment of that human being than if you judge him as desperate. And maybe he's not even desperate. Maybe he's just, maybe his log is a marketing log. He's trying to log things that he can market. It depends what sensibility you bring to those documents. And that's why we did that. So I would want those connections, that learning, reflected in the log, and my hope would be that you would never judge things so simplistically again. Does that make sense? Everyone get that? So I think 2 is a little, I love 1, I kind of like it. 2 is a little bit thin. I wouldn't be super happy. I'd have to read these to see what I think, and I will. Here's the analysis as soon as I arrive, blah, 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 blah. Class 3, what do you think about this? Class 3.
It's not my
Little thin, huh? Okay? You know, what, like, so what? You know how Dr. Cleary always says that? Yeah. You know, Hesper came into the room with a red scarf on and said blah, blah, blah. And Dr. Cleary will just say, so what? So what? What's it mean that she walked across that threshold with a red scarf on? I didn't get to know. Huh?
I didn't get to that first.
I made that part up. But you get it, okay? Yeah.
For me, we just really didn't do much with the where we're from and day 3.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just something to keep track for us. Like, I just thought it was something we were gonna just.
Okay, let me ask you this: what was the big deal in this exercise? Everything we do is going to give me opportunities to try and teach you some stuff. It's going to surface things that we can learn from. What was the big moment, really, on day 3?
Was it? I mean, like, at least, like, I was sort of thinking, like, I mean, like, the way, like, because we talked about not only, like, where we're from, but kind of, like, how all of those places were divided throughout history, and, like, how all this happened, and, like, what is a country, and what is a constitution, and all of these things that, like, define our lives, and that, I don't know, and I think that kind of connected to, like, stuff you mentioned on the first day, of, like, we're affected by history today.
Absolutely. We talked about nation states and countries, and you're saying China's 1,000 years old, not the China that exists right now. And we talked about dialects and different languages. What kicked all that off?
Is where we're from.
Leo started with the stuff on China being an old country, right? And Emily said Northeast China. Remember that? She said, I'm from Northeast China. And what did I say?
What does that matter?
What's that mean?
So
So what? And she said, well, it's different, and they have a different history and a different dialect and blah, 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 blah. And then we went into all that, and the reason I did that, I actually do care about where Emily's from, but this is a history class. It's not about, you and where you're from, but I will tell you. Show them, you can't show them that map. Dayton is all segregated. New York. I feel guilty about stealing this week. I love how I do it. was on Wired. Look at this. It's a great magazine, a great site. But lots of information on this map. And ads. So that right there is a map of New York City. So every little blue dot, all the way to the blue, are actually dots. Blue dots are Caucasian, green dots African American, red dot Asian, orange dot Latino. Everyone else is brown. There's not a lot of that. But you can get to a city like, would you say that New York's pretty mixed up? It's got some enclaves here where they don't like to mix. But pretty much. And you get cities like Chicago, Noah. Yeah. Where it's crazy. Where's that? I hate ads. So, like, the streets and the blocks are completely, like, this is all Latino. This is all Caucasian. This is pretty much all, some mixing African American. Asian, I believe here is Chinatown. Makes sense. But yeah, kind of crazy. So you can get you an interactive map somewhere. You can find it. You can interactive map into the entire country, and you can zoom right in the data. And it looks pretty bad.
Okay, I think. Oh, did you do both? The contrasted the two? I was looking up something.
Contrasted the two.
Like Chicago and Dayton.
I didn't show Dayton.
Okay.
Yeah. This
so
is Detroit.
What do you? Does this converse? This is pretty mixed.
Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Very segregated.
Yeah.
Did you show them Chicago?
Yeah, as it showed in Chicago, which is mixed but not. They're like individual neighborhoods in a place.
It's pretty striking, isn't it?
You're like, this block is all white people. This block,
That's all Latinos?
Latino.
Yeah. And then what's...
And this isn't done by law. You know, in places like South Africa and such, they made this happen. We just choose to have this happen. We do it to ourselves.
But like then again, the difference between Chicago, I think, and then Detroit is that Chicago, it's like, even though they're very segregated blocks, they're closer together.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how cities
Yeah,
do it.
they're like street by street is a different one, but then Detroit's like, here's a whole thing of...
Yeah.
And there's like...
Now what's peppered in here?
The red is Asian.
So Asian peppered in to the blue is white? Caucasian?
No, blue is African American, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's
No,
blue is...
other way around.
Blue is Caucasian.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of Asian peppered into white neighborhoods, or lots of white people in Asian neighborhoods. Is that right? That's interesting. As opposed to a block like we saw in the other city.
Yeah.
Is that right? Look at that. But then look at New York. Is New York there?
I wonder how the segregation in Detroit like affected its economy in a way. Maybe it did.
What I'm wondering is if these, what do you call these settlement patterns, if you will.
Yeah.
If there's a Midwestern flavor, if there's a West Coast flavor, if there's a rural flavor, a Northeastern flavor, and then listen, you gotta. I hope I suggested this to you. Whenever we're doing something, I kind of want you all to be thinking, why is Squires doing this? I do very little for one reason, usually never the superficial reason. So why are we doing this? Look at this. This shows colonial North America in 1775. What do you see? What's the key? Yeah, what's this? Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, okay, same thing. So it's showing. I don't know if you want me to say that. Just what do you see? With no real reason to understand it. What do you see there? Literally, what do you see?
Different colors.
Do you see different colors like that? Okay, these are immigrant groups. There are Catholics, there are Protestants, there are Quakers, there are atheists, there are shipbuilders, there are slaveholders, there are non-slaveholders. How do you govern that?
The Samuel Constitution.
Exactly. Did we talk about the Constitution the other day? Where is it in the learning log? We the people, we the blue, the green, the brown, the purple, we the Quakers, the Catholics, the Protestants, the atheists, the people in Georgia, for goodness sake, the slaveholders, the non-slaveholders. I mean, those people are very different, and they all, the Founding Fathers did not come up with our Constitution based on any Constitution that had ever been written before. They looked at this mess and realized, what if they make the United States a Christian country? What if they do that? What if that's put in the Constitution? What does that mean?
That's like half the population.
It means other people are second-class citizens. What if they make it a Jewish country? That wouldn't work, even though there were colonial Jews, right? Because everybody else would have been second class. What if they had put a color of people in there? Do you understand? They had to say, and usually, that's how empires worked. It was, what did they do in Spain? Kicked out some people who were really different and causing trouble, unified, and got going, building a nation state. The United States decided, we're going to become a nation state, and we got to govern in a different way. We're not going to play favorites. It's everybody. Everybody is here. Do you see this? What if, I wonder if it's easier for people who live there to relate to the kind of government we have than it is for people in other parts of the country who live in these old school, segregated settlement patterns. They don't have to deal with diversity. Do you see? Do you get it? Does that make sense? So do you see a little bit why we did the, here's what our culture is from. It's from this. It's from a ton of conflict because those different people are living together and they're in conflict with one another. And the Founding Fathers said, how are we going to do this? We can't kick out the Moors like they did in Spain. We can't create religious unity like they did in England. The Church of England. Okay? Does that make some sense? So the point is, if you can do a better job of sort of capturing things, boy, Mr. Spires really went off when Ada said she's from Northeast China. I don't know exactly why, but then we talked about how different Northeast China is than Southwest China. And we talked about dialects and different languages in Germany, and then Leo, we were talking about this, that, and the other thing. We read the Constitution, we talked, that's got to be in there. And the value of you articulating that in your learning log is so when we get to chapter 5 and we start talking about diverse settlements and how you govern a diverse people, you go, oh my God, that's why we did that. Does that make some sense? Okay, so here's what I need you to do. I need you to also, where did I ask you to write about the documents? Oh, that's right there. That's in there. Do we want to polish these up or just move on and do better next time? I think we do better next time. Okay, here's what I want you to do. What I would like you to do for what? Tuesday? Wednesday?
Oh yeah, because you don't have school here.
Yeah. So
Wednesday.
I would like you to read.
No. Tuesday.
I would like you to read all of our textbook up to page 11. Okay, and that's like the first half of chapter 1. It's these two yellow pages. It's the table of contents, just whatever you find up to page 11. Is that okay? And we'll talk about that stuff. Make some notes in your learning log, and we'll work on it Wednesday. All right? All right. Sorry, that was a little bit clunky, guys.